Oh, Anthem. I wanted to love this game so badly, I really did, but it ultimately failed to live up to promises that BioWare made when marketing this game. Unfulfilled promises aside though, Anthem's launch was regrettably also marred by a lack of content, numerous baffling design choices, and persistently disruptive technical issues. Now, as far as technical issues go, there is one in particular that's been making the rounds lately due to the severity of its effects. The following information was reported by a user from the Anthem subreddit, where they posted the following thread detailing how the game was causing some pretty disconcerting crashes. Now, crashes are nothing new to Anthem, having plagued the game on all major platforms since its troubled launch. This was supposed to be fixed with an update released on February 23, 2019, with the patch notes explicitly indicating that it would fix a number of issues causing players to crash during gameplay. Unfortunately, it wasn't long after the patch went live that both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One players continued to report crashes persisted. But the issue escalated further recently when players began to notice that crashes didn't just stop at the game application closing down before booting players back to the home menu. Instead, what users have been experiencing over the last few days is something much more grave, with crashes going as far as fully shutting down the console the game's being played on. And we aren't just talking about a soft shutdown. The way people describe it is that the console powers down as if the plug had suddenly been pulled, a complete system-wide shutdown. It's not just Reddit that's been reporting this, with the post providing a link to a recently published video podcast by news outlet Giant Bomb, in which they discuss the exact same problem.
Here's what has happened in the last a day and a half on the console with that game. There was one point where I was flying around free play looking for treasure chests and harvesting stuff for those challenges.
Yeah.
I noticed that I couldn't harvest anymore because the button prompt was broken when I would try to go up to stuff and open it.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I'm near a tomb. There's a tomb across the map. I'll go open the one that I have finished before I reload this thing, try to fix the button prompt. Fly for 10 minutes across the map to go to that tomb, walk up to the tomb door, realize the button prompt is also broken on the tomb door.
Cool.
Go to quit the game. Game hard crashes to the system interface.
Mm-hmm.
PS4 immediately powers off.
Whoa. Oh, wow.
And that happened again last night. I looked on Reddit. Apparently it's a pretty common problem on PS4.
Weird.
The game crashes and then shuts your PS4 down.
Weird.
Immediately.
Wow.
Hard power off.
How's that happen?
No LED, no nothing. You turn it back on and it gripes at you about oh, you didn't shut down properly.
Oh, great.
We have to check storage.
It's a bad shutdown.
And then and then it has to repair my external hard drive after that.
Yep.
So every time, and this is also happening to people, including me, when you force close the application.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can make it back to the title screen after logging out of the game and then you just do close application, it still happens.
Huh.
And so, yeah, basically every time I play the game, if that happens, turning the PS4 back on is a 5-minute process of waiting for all these storage checks to happen. It's common enough that it's just how the fuck?
I must say, there's something to be said about the irony of Anthem, a game plagued with insufferably frequent and long loading times, having shipped in such a broken state that it's even causing PlayStation 4 consoles to experience long loading times on boot up. Now, this doesn't seem to be something that's happening to everyone, but enough people have been afflicted that the story started to gain quite a bit of traction. There are some fans who have been trying to defend this by arguing it's probably a dust issue, an overheating issue, or a hardware issue. But this Reddit user retorted by emphasizing that these crashes and system shutdowns only happen while playing Anthem, and that they have affected all models of both PS4 and Xbox One, meaning that there is little chance that the cause isn't an Anthem-specific software glitch. Not to mention that as far as many people are aware, a game crashing so badly that it's causing consoles to shut down is unprecedented, and something that many have never seen happen with any other game in all the time they've owned PS4s and Xbox Ones. There's another popular Reddit thread highlighting the exact same issue, noting how their PS4 completely turned off twice while trying to matchmake in Anthem. The post has since gained over 1,000 upvotes, and reading through the hundreds of responses, it's clear just how widespread this problem is. But here's where a really bad situation gets much worse. A more recent post on the Anthem subreddit has detailed how the user's PlayStation 4 has not only abruptly turned off while playing Anthem, but also when attempting to reboot the console, it wouldn't even turn on anymore. That's right, we're now seeing reports of people's PlayStation 4 consoles getting irreparably bricked as a direct result of Anthem's fatal crashes, which is why this user, who unfortunately drew the short end of the stick, decided to get this public service announcement out there, recommending that people stop playing Anthem on their consoles until this gets acknowledged and resolved, lest players risk breaking their gaming machines. Consoles getting bricked definitely seems to be a more rare occurrence, but that doesn't change the fact that the risk is still there, and who knows which players will find themselves facing the misfortune of seeing hardware they spent hundreds of dollars on dying on them or getting corrupted as a result of Anthem's flawed coding. Now, this particular user, who also happens to have an Xbox One copy of the game, hasn't experienced any untimely shutdowns when playing Anthem on that console, though after what happened to their PS4, they aren't keen on taking any risks. Another user responded to this thread by reporting that after their PS4 console hard shut down on them, it had problems restarting, with the console turning on briefly before shutting down a couple times. It was also emphasized that this is definitely not an overheating issue, as shutdowns resulting from heat have their own specific error code that's different from the one people have been getting. Something else the user found was that the crippling console crash can happen if you shut down your PlayStation 4 while Anthem is still running, so if you turn off your console without closing out the application first. This was seemingly corroborated by two other people, the user's brother as well as one other person in the comments who experienced the same thing. Right, so there are plenty of things about Anthem that require immediate attention, like the lack of compelling endgame and whatnot, but what we're looking at here transcends all of that and needs to be priority one. It's one thing for your game to be lacking in a few key areas, but it's a whole other thing for your game to be a genuine hazard that could cause irreversible damage to people's gaming hardware. Weirdly, while BioWare has normally been pretty on top of communicating and letting people know that they're working towards addressing reported issues, the studio has been relatively quiet about this one. None of the more popular Reddit posts have garnered any kind of response from developers or community managers, and going through the social media pages of folks like Casey Hudson, Mark Dara, and Michael Gamble, they haven't so much as acknowledged the problem yet, despite days having gone by since rumblings first began to spread. That doesn't necessarily mean they aren't aware of the issue, or that we won't see them respond eventually, but time is of the essence here and players need some immediate assurances. If people feel unsafe about booting up Anthem knowing there is tangible risk that they might be among the unfortunate group of people whose consoles keep crashing from playing the game, or in the worst case scenario, whose consoles become bricked, they're not going to want to touch this game, plain and simple. Which is why if there is one issue that required BioWare's complete attention and a high level of expediency, if there is one major problem that needs to be treated as an immediate emergency, it's this one right here. Some players are already going out of their way to request refunds for what is proving to be a defective product, though with varying levels of success. One player reported that Sony is aware of the issue and is offering a complete refund on Anthem with no questions asked, alleging that the whole process took them no more than 5 minutes. Further down, the same user said that they simply called Sony customer support, and at the mention of Anthem, the representative said something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, we know, we'll refund it," and that was that. This other user was also able to successfully refund their Anthem purchase via support chat after they posted an extensive message detailing how the game crashed their PS4 multiple times and how they're afraid this could eventually lead to their console getting bricked. Many others, however, have had no luck getting a refund, with a few users assuming that the reason some might have been refunded so easily was because they used up their one-time only goodwill refund tied to their PSN accounts. Furthermore, in response to those who successfully got refunded, you can see that there are plenty of people reporting that their refund requests were outright denied. So it doesn't look like there is some Sony-wide initiative to refund anyone who is experiencing console crashes while playing Anthem, though we could be looking at a case of some representatives willing to offer refunds because they've heard about the issue and are sympathetic towards those afflicted, while other representatives are more strict about following company policy. Or it could be a case of people using up their one goodwill refund and getting that confused with Sony being aware of Anthem's crippling crashes and directly getting involved. Do keep in mind, however, that while Sony is stringent on refunding purchased digital products, they'll be more lenient if said product happens to be faulty, and one could make the case that Anthem is indeed faulty in its current state. Either way, the bottom line is that players are understandably upset to discover Anthem launched in such an inadequate state that playing it could literally brick consoles, and if Anthem's lack of content and poorly designed endgame didn't repel a significant portion of players already, the knowledge that the game poses a genuine threat most certainly will. It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that such a high-budget game, backed by such a prominent development studio, could have launched in such an unacceptably compromised manner. I understand that no game is ever 100% perfect at launch, that flaws are bound to make themselves known once a game is played by millions of players, but there's a limit to how much can be tolerated. It was bad enough that Anthem released with a dull story that fell woefully short of BioWare standards, with an uninspired campaign and endgame comprised of monotonous missions, lacking in variety even by shooter-looter standards, with an open world and hub that felt completely empty and lifeless, with a loot and reward system that offered little in the way of excitement, with loading screen issues that completely marred the game's pacing, with a user interface that's painfully unintuitive, with myriad bugs and glitches that disrupted the overall experience, so on and so forth. But if there was ever an indicator that this game really did need a few more months or even an extra year to cook in the oven, it's certainly the possibility that at any given moment, Anthem may shut down your PlayStation 4 or Xbox One in an improper way and potentially damage it to the point of no return. Something that I don't think anyone has seen happen with other games. Not even Fallout 76, one of the most broken and incomplete AAA releases of this generation, would literally break your console. Anyway, these are one man's thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear what your take is on reports of Anthem crashing and breaking consoles in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update and discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. To be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.